T. It's in the name.
Welcome into the Helping Healing Humor podcast with Ben and Travis. We're going to talk a little African mission trip on this episode, and we'll do that right after these important messages.
This episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast is brought to you by the 2023 Heritage event on Saturday, August 26th, featuring an incredible night of music from the frontmen of Country, the Secret Sisters, and Cadence Baker. General admission tickets and table sponsorships are available for purchase. For more information, visit www.hcu.edu. The mission of Heritage Christian University is simple. They aim to advance the churches of Christ by equipping servants through undergraduate and graduate programs. HCU produces effective communicators of the gospel, focusing on evangelism and a commitment to Scripture. Heritage Christian University offers the following degrees: Associate of Arts in Biblical Studies, Bachelor of Arts in Biblical Studies, Master of Arts, Master of Ministry, and Master of Divinity. HCU is accredited by the Association for Biblical Higher Education and is an associate member of the Association of Theological Schools. Since 1968, Heritage Christian University has offered affordable degrees in biblical studies, allowing graduates to thrive in their ministries without the burden of loan debt. For the fall 2023 semester, HCU is offering full tuition scholarships for graduate-level students. For more information about Heritage Christian University or the annual Heritage event, visit www.hcu.edu.
I'm Travis Creasy. That's All-Pro Counselor Ben Hayes.
And that is Will Mahan across the way over there. I don't know if I was pointing the right way or not, but yeah, Will's got the crew from Africa with us today.
We've got a solid crew. So all the pointing here on the video gets a little confusing.
It does, yeah.
But we've got our families with us, or I guess part of our families. And so Lindsay's with us. Lindsay's first time in Africa. Everybody's first time in Africa. Yep. Then you've got Kenya and Destin. Ginger is down here. Alicia and Ruthie.
I'm Lindsay. I'm Will's wife, and I'm really excited to be on this podcast.
I'm Destin. I'm their daughter, and I'm also excited to be on the podcast. I'm Kenya, and I'm with him. And her, I guess.
And like the Brady Bunch, we're going to point down to Ginger.
I'm Ginger Taylor, and Will asked me to go to Africa with this bunch, and I have made some wonderful friends on this Africa trip. And Will's pretty good too, though.
He's all right. He's all right. And you were Will's secretary for a while, right? At the church where Will was at before?
Yes. Due to circumstances with my husband being sick, I had to take a leave from teaching school, and I ended up as the church secretary with my husband there with me and Will. And yes, so I was his secretary for a while.
Very cool.
I'm Alicia Reeves, and this is my daughter, Ruthie. And we're members at Highland Park. I'm Ruthie.
I was waiting for the "Hey y'all." That's what I thought.
Yeah.
At least she introduced herself. So we wanted to kind of get a little bit of perspective. We went to Zimbabwe, which is a country. It's in the continent of Africa is where we were. So they get real particular. We didn't go to Africa. We went to Zimbabwe. And so this was my second year. We go with Partners for Africa with Orion Flynn. And so we just wanted to spend a little time talking about maybe the experience or what impacted you the most about being there, or maybe even some lessons that you learned from being a part of the trip. So maybe Ginger, if you want to start, maybe just something that you learned or something that you benefited from while being on the trip.
The Bible doesn't use the word mission, per se, but it's rooted in biblical truth. And mission signifies that you're sent from one place to another for a purpose. And the apostles were some of the first ones to be sent out on a mission to share what Jesus was preaching. So when Will asked me to go on this mission trip, I was looking for something to rejuvenate my faith. I was looking for something to give me a purpose with my husband being gone. I had been on Honduras mission trips, but it'd been a while, and so I said yes, I'll go. And I go, and what did I get from going? I got myself more faith, because what I saw, we are so in our when we do serve others here in our churches and all, we do it because that's what we do. But when you go over there and you do mission work in Africa, it makes you feel like you are compassionate about what you're doing. And because we end up taking for granted here, it's just what we're supposed to do. And we go over there, and then it's just a whole different idea of serving others, because they don't have what we have a lot of times. And so and they're so eager to learn. That's what I got from this, that my faith isn't where it should be, because even the little ones were so eager to know about God. Even though they even knew a little bit about God, they wanted to know more. And a lot of times over here, we forget that. And that's what I gained from that. And they're all just wonderful people.
Right. Alicia, what about you? What were maybe a perspective or things that you took from the trip?
The opportunities that I take for granted, because like she was talking about them being so hungry to learn it. I mean, we just have way more, I guess, conveniences and time, and just the ability to read and study and go to different, church functions and be around other Christians, and we don't take near advantage of them as we should. And it was very, I don't know, it was just very uplifting to be with people that shared the same faith that far away. But I don't know, I felt like they were like on a whole nother level, and it was just really, I don't know, even more uplifting for me to see than I felt like I gave to them.
Kind of sounds like the idea of trust. I mean, like when we think about faith, we kind of think, oh yeah, I got faith. I go to church. I do the church things. And then you get to certain places, like it sounds like you guys are describing, and they have to do a whole lot more trusting than maybe we do in everyday life.
Mm-hmm. So we're going over there to encourage them, but we come back being encouraged by them.
Kenya, what about you?
Just how the family system over there is still intact, and those kids are just so well behaved, and like, Ginger was saying, they're eager to learn. And I mean, it was really eye opening, and we were all just shocked at how well those kids would behave, and like they would not talk unless we encouraged them to, or were asking questions or singing. I mean, it was really amazing.
So what are you saying about Ruthie and Destin and the kids over here?
Well,
what are you saying?
So what I will say about those two is how much I saw them grow in such a short amount of time. Like, I mean, I've known Ruthie and Destin since y'all are in middle school at least, and the amount of growth and courage that they had to teach. Ginger, how many classes did you say that y'all taught together?
We taught 18 classes for 3 days. And
I mean, not many teachers do that.
I would even ask them, put them on the spot and ask them to tell the kids a certain thing about what we were discussing. And they didn't know that I was going to ask them. And they performed and did it so well.
Yeah. Or like even random things like tying knots and like the not fun stuff. They were just willing to jump in and love on those kids, and it was just really encouraging to see those two and how much they did and how much they grew from that.
As teenagers, mission trips sometimes within the states can. We're going to go somewhere and then we're going to go have fun at a theme park or go to the beach or things like that. And hopping on a plane for 16 and a half hours is not, there's nothing glamorous about being on a plane for that long. But what would you say to maybe families or parents of teenagers or even teenagers about the benefits of being a part of a trip like this? What would you encourage it? Would you not encourage it? What'd you learn from it? Just so that people can see, even at 15 and 16, you can be impacted, but you can also make an impact.
I would definitely encourage it, because I would get on a plane like right now and fly to Africa. But I think it was a really good experience. Like it changed like my view on like everything. Like it was nothing like I expected. But I also like the entire time I like felt like safe, and like everywhere we went, like I never met one rude person. Like everywhere we went, like somebody was waving at me or like had a smile on their face. I don't know, they would just compliment you. Like they just constantly tell you, how like pretty you are, how nice you are, and it was just, I don't know, it was a whole like different world than like what we live in here. But I just like I would go back like right now.
I felt like going there and just like seeing how like different it is from like the life we live, and like still knowing that like, I mean, they're like the happiest people on this planet, and they have like so much less than us. And it's like, I don't know, I loved it so much, just because like everybody there, like Destin said, is just always happy, and you were always learning new things. Like everywhere you went, you were learning something about their culture or something about their country, and just like learning new things, getting to talk to new people, and just like getting to see their views on life. And just, it was just so awesome, just getting to hang out with the kids and getting to like, even the people we were staying with, Haley and Noma and Dudu and all them, like I just learned so much from them.
This was an interesting thing too that I know I discussed with both of y'all, was like there's going to be a little bit of a language barrier. Even with the language barrier, were you still able to connect with the kids in y'all's minds? Because I know a lot of people go, I don't want to go to another country because I can't talk with them. But like your experiences there, like do you feel like you were able to connect well?
For the most part, the kids could like talk pretty like fluently with us. But like when it comes to like the relationships we made, people that I met there are still like messaging me like to this day. And you meet somebody sometimes, like you don't text them like once or twice, like a month or something. But like these like people that like I met, like they text me like constantly, like all the time, wanting to know like how I'm doing.
Love has no language, and I've learned that over the years with doing mission work. Like you don't have to speak the same language to love on somebody and to make them feel loved, or for you to feel loved back. Like these kids had translators, and we would talk, and then they would listen to their translators, and we still felt that connection. Like we got to play like little hand games with them, and I don't just hug them and dance and sing. Like it doesn't matter that you can't have a conversation a lot of times with those moments, being with those kids and people in Africa. Like there's a lot of different ways you can love and minister to people without speaking the same language.
Having Destin and Ruthie there as young people also helped get connections with those young people, because they were young people talking to young people, and they wanted to know about what they did in America. They wanted to know about what they did at their church. They wanted to talk about sports, because they played sports and they played sports. So it's all about connection. If you can get a connection with someone, then you can talk about what you're there to talk about.
When we did the VBS, and when we did the airport feeding and stuff, like some of those kids could not speak the best like English, or they couldn't understand us, but like even like one day we were in crafts, and it was just like you could make a connection with them by helping them tie their bracelet or like playing little games with them. Even though there was a really big language barrier, there was still like so much like I felt like I had a connection with every single one of those kids just by like laughing with them.
Dorian even mentioned to me at one point, and I thought, if you know Dorian Flynn, you know he's the ultimate encourager of all mankind. And he mentioned something to me because we were doing some crafts, and I think it was when Ruthie even went over and played soccer because they were just, once they heard Ruth could play soccer, they were all in on let's see how good this girl really is. And he said people are going to come to know Jesus because it's important to Ruthie, and Ruthie took time to play soccer with them. Just the significance of a teenage American girl going and playing soccer and her finding, spirituality as an important part of her life, they're going to want to see the importance of it too. Kenya and Alicia were playing a bunch of games, like they were doing the human knot with a bunch of kids from Zimbabwe. And I walked over there and you could just hear the giggles and the laughter. And it's like those people are going to know, those kids are going to know there are people who love God, who love me, and who traveled all this way. And shout out to all the people that supported us in getting there. It's huge to know, hey, I did something good because I love somebody. Feel good about what I've done, but it's just the love went both ways. And to feel their love it's awesome.
Well, and for me, not going on the trip, I've been on a lot of mission trips through the years, and watching, Kenya's been on several of those with me. We went to Mexico together and stuff like that. And so I kind of seen her view and knew her view of mission work, but it was really cool to kind of sit back and watch Destin. I know one night while y'all were over there, Destin and I texted super late one night about the things, and she was just talking about all this stuff that you guys have mentioned about. I can't, believe what these people, kind of how they have to live, and their faith is so strong, and, what they do. And she was just gushing over, her experiences. And then when we've gotten back, she's done the same thing on more than one occasion. So it's been great to like watch it through our kids' eyes, because I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to, them to be able to do it. And so it was really awesome to be able to watch that and see what it meant to her. And I'm sure Alicia, Kenya, you guys were there and watching it happen live, but I loved getting to hear the stories from it.
I would be curious, like Ben and Kenya and Alicia, like as parents, I know there's got to be some reservations about saying, hey, we're going to hop on a plane and travel 6.5 hours. But like as parents to people that are listening, what would y'all say about it for your kids and maybe the spiritual formation that it can provide? I
encourage every parent to do it. It was hard and it was torn, and even up until the last minute, you asked Ben, I was just like, I hate being away from all the other kids for that long during their summer break. But I knew what the trip would mean to Destin and to me, and just the impact that it could have and that they would have on our lives. And so we've always, even when we were dating, talked about how we always wanted to do mission work and always wanted our kids to be involved in it. And so it's, I'm just excited that they're old enough to get involved. Like I would like to go back and take my whole family. I think even the younger ones would benefit from it. And I know that the people over there would love that.
To me, it's such a big part of the formation, spiritual formation, to see that the rest of the world's different. I love the church here, obviously, but it does just hit differently when you go somewhere else and you see the faith that people have when they don't have the buildings to worship in like we do, or they don't have we spend a lot of time over here entertaining, as a church, trying to do things, what do you have for me kind of thing, versus, hey, I'm living out my faith every day. And so I think it sometimes gives you a different view of the spiritual life by going on some mission trips. Alicia, what did you kind of think on that?
I agree. I can't think of a better experience for us to have had together, a better time, better thing to spend our time or our money on, especially her being 15.
Transform is a word that describes what women do. We transform from sisters to best friends, from girlfriends to wives, from wives to mothers, mothers to grandmothers. Women are constantly evolving into a new role, a beautiful, challenging role. Much like our titles, our spiritual lives transform as well. While always a student of the word, some are called to be teachers, mentors, servants, and disciples. Transform Ladies Conference aims to bless every phase of your Christian walk. Come join us in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee for a delightful weekend full of truth, God's love, Christian fellowship, and fun. www.tlcladies.org. Contact JJ Davenport. info@tlcladies.org.
I'd like to ask Will and Lindsay. Will went last year. This year he takes Lindsay with him. How that feel? Was that awesome to be able to take your wife with you?
Yeah, I mean, Lindsay heard like last year for people that don't know. So like I went by myself last year with a group of people that I didn't know, and quickly turned into friends with a lot of them. And Dorian's whole goal was come see it. And he's brilliant because he knows you'll fall in love with the culture. He knows you'll fall in love with the people. And if you fall in love with those two things, you'll fall in love with the work because you love God. So like he's brilliant the way that he does things. But I came back and Lindsay said, "You've never posted any pictures." And I got to see some really cool stuff. We all got to see some really cool stuff. But all I did for a year was talk about the people. And in Progress and Martha and Haley and Noma and Paka and Zigzy, just a bunch of people that the people that are listening to will have no idea who they are. But for her to meet those people, that was the coolest thing to me because they had already seen pictures of her. They had already heard stories about her. And so walking in, it's like they already knew who she was.
Yeah.
And just the love that they showed me was the exact same love that they gave to her. And so for her to experience that, like I knew I could go back anytime I wanted to because I knew she, because she got to experience what I did. And that was just really, really neat. So.
Yeah, and last year when he came back and would talk about it, I mean, you like to listen to those kind of stories and hear about the people and all the experiences he had, but I just didn't get it. I mean, I was excited for him. I was happy for him, but I didn't know who these people were. Like he would mention names and show me some pictures, and I'm like, I mean, that's really cool. But once you get there and experience it for yourself, it's so different and it's so special because they literally made me feel like they've known me forever. And I just met them, and that was really special experience. And to leave a little one, we have a 4-year-old, that was really difficult. I didn't want to travel that far. I've been so nervous to do that for so long, but after coming back, I'm like, I could do this so many times again. It was just so worth it to experience it for myself instead of just hearing it from him.
I think there's a lot of people, and I know Ben, you've heard this, Travis, you've heard this in ministry, is how do we do mission work when we go for like a week and a half? Are we really doing more good? Like, are we doing good? Are we causing more issues with these short-term mission trips? But the thing about Zimbabwe and Partners for Africa is the people there want to reciprocate the love and the encouragement just as much as you want to give it. And so what that does is like what Destin said, is it creates that bond. Like just the other day, I was texting a couple of them. And it creates that bond that continues to go throughout the year. We're like, in my role as a minister, we're sharing curriculums and different things that we do here that can help them there. And it's not just a 2-week thing. It's a friendship that continues to grow and progress, where we're both encouraging others as Christians should do. And so I think that's the coolest part of it for me is, yeah, you get to go for 2 weeks, but then not only do you benefit from it for the rest of the year until you're able to go back, like they benefit as well. And it's just a really cool thing to be able to develop those and grow in those relationships. And so I think the impact is very much worth it on both sides to go across the world for a couple weeks. So
I know when we would go to Mexico, that was one of the statements they would make is the guy who ran that would say they get to learn that the team is a lot bigger than they thought it was.
Right.
And the whole Christian team, they're down there in one place. They don't travel around. They don't get to go to other places. And then when all these groups start coming in, all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, our team's a whole lot bigger. You know, this family we're a part of. And so you guys got to be a part of their lives. And like you said, it doesn't end there. And especially with today, think about 100 years ago, you go over somewhere and you come back, or even 20 or 30 years ago, you go and come back and you got to write letters and that sort of dies off. But, you've got social media, you've got text messaging. It's amazing what you can do today in today's culture in staying connected, because Destin and Ruthie and all y'all have already mentioned, you've stayed connected with some of these people the entire time.
Travis, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, a couple things. Kenya, when you said whole family, what are we talking about here?
Talking about Travis?
Yeah.
I don't know that Africa would survive a visit from Ben and Travis.
I think Funston would be great.
Join us for the thrilling second annual Staying Alive Disco Dodgeball Tournament. This event is more than just a battle on the dodgeball court. It's a chance to make a real impact in the fight against childhood cancer. By participating, you'll be helping us raise funds to support a cause close to our hearts, ending childhood cancer once and for all. August 19th, 2023 at 10 a.m. on the campus of Marshall Bible School in Florence, Alabama. Get ready to show off your disco moves and dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge again. With disco lights, funky tunes, and atmosphere filled with infectious energy, this tournament will be an unforgettable experience for all. Gather your friends, family, and colleagues to form teams of 6 to 10 and battle it out on the dance floor turned dodgeball arena. With prizes for the winning team and individual awards for the most spirited intros, everyone has a chance to shine. But here's the best part. Every dollar raised during this event will go directly towards supporting initiatives to end childhood cancer. By participating or simply donating, you'll be contributing to a cause that can change the lives of countless children and their families. Together, we can make a difference. Spread the word and invite your friends, colleagues, and neighbors to be a part of this amazing event. Let's come together as a community and show our support for those bravely fighting childhood cancer. So put on your disco shoes and grab your dodgeball gear. It's time to disco and dodge for a great cause. Sign up now and be a hero on and off the dodgeball floor. To register or learn more, visit our website, benandtravis.com/dodgeball.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.